I also want to extend my thanks to you for keeping your answers succinct tonight. I haven't kept time except in my head, and you've all done a great job at staying about the same length, so thank you very much for that. We're off to our closing statements to wrap up this evening. And Mr. Herauf, we're going to begin first with you on closing statements.
Well, my goal is to see Mandan develop. My other goal is to get the sidewalks and streets done. And my other goal is to see that our city has snow gates. We have a little town in Hazen. Hazen is just a small town. They've got snow gates. Why doesn't Mandan? That'd be, I mean, this is my goal. This is my goal to apply for Mandan. Like I said, the money I made is going back to the city. I've got it all set up. If I get in, I got it set up how I'm going to run the money back to the city. And that money will go back to the city as sidewalks, streets, curb cuts. And that's my goal.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Rohn, your closing statements, please.
Some time ago, I put together a training program for law enforcement, especially for the hierarchy and others. And this also applies as a city commission. And this is what it states: citizens do not appreciate being chastised or being talked down to. Citizens do not want their complaints treated as nuisances. Their concerns are important to them, and they should be important to us. Citizens do not want to hear excuses as to why the job cannot be done, especially excuses that pass the problem on someone else. They don't want to hear what the specific city ordinance says. Their concern is, what will the city do and what options do they have? Citizens do not want to run around. They don't want to be left wondering what's going to be done. And citizens do want a friendly attitude, that they're special, and an honest effort will be made to deal with their concerns or complaints.
Thank you very much. Ms. Frank, your closing thoughts.
I'm not afraid of that. I think one thing that really excites me about running for the Mandan City Commission is the opportunity to bring a fresh perspective and some new energy to that board. I think it's really important that we engage our youth, again, get them excited about living in Mandan, proud of where they are, and working for the community together with the people that have been living here for an entire lifetime or longer. I think that's really important. That's what gets me motivated about Mandan. The other thing that I think is really important is, similar to what Dennis said, is listening to the constituents. And I think what I've evidenced by attending a lot of forums like this and paying attention to the commission meetings is that it's going to take more than just sending an invitation to be present. I think we're going to have to actively engage them through new forms of communication, and I think that includes a lot of the technologies that are available for us right now. The one thing that I'm really proud of on a personal level is being able to pay attention to budgets and exercising constraints. I think that's one thing that the residents of Mandan want to see their commissioners employ, is careful spending of their tax dollars. And also paying attention to ways to generate new revenue. Mandan is in an excellent position to really define itself once again and put itself back in the prime, which according to some of the people on the panel was in the 60s. And so I'm excited to see that happen and offer creative thought and also some new perspective on ways to do that.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Serhienko, your closing thoughts.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up, for the opportunity to at least speak with you. So, it takes several years to learn how the city government works and operates. If you've never been there before, it's very enlightening. You have to learn how to dot I's and cross T's, and it's a process. As a city commissioner, I was elected to fill the remaining 2 years of our current mayor, Tim Helbling's term as a city commissioner. And I've reached the 2-year plateau of that, and I think that's what it takes, is a couple of years to really get it figured out so that you know how to be effective and you know where to go and who to contact and call. And I've been able to make a difference on issues important to voters in Mandan. I'm not always on the winning side. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm not afraid to vote no when I think something's wrong or not in the best interest of what I think the people of Mandan want. I speak my piece, and those of you who've watched the commission meetings, I'm sure have noticed that. I try to approach everything using common sense and fair play, because it's how I see things. I return phone calls. If someone calls and leaves a message, I will return it. I've been a consistent no voter for the transfer of our community center to the school board, and the reason for my resistance is that Mandan doesn't have a suitable place large enough anywhere to hold some of the events, not all of them, some of the events that were held there. I've heard people say that there are fraternal lodges that can handle them, and yes, the weddings and things like that, certainly. But there are things that are beyond the scope of the fraternal lodges to handle. So there's a consideration that we'll have to address there. And as a city commissioner, it's going to be important to do this wisely this time, so that we don't get caught just holding an empty bag. Common sense, budget frugality, lowering of the mill levy on property tax collection, insightful direction to the continued rebuilding of downtown Mandan, and eventually the rebuilding of the Strip, and common sense.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all of our candidates tonight for being here, for sharing your thoughts. Obviously, this is an important time in Mandan's history, and we wish you the best of luck in your election. On behalf of the Bismarck Mandan Chamber of Commerce and the Bismarck Tribune, thank you for being here, and we are adjourned.